Hello, and welcome to tonight's episode of Call of Cthulhu, Masks of Nyarlathotep. My name is Alex Xander Rabitsky, and I will be your keeper of arcane lore. You may just call me the Keeper. Tonight we continue our action horror pulp adventure through the world of the mythos. I am joined, of course, as always, by my wonderful friends. We have running late to the party, but he will be here, Split Guardian, playing James O'Connell. He's in traffic or something. Who knows how that works? This is the internet.
Gun noise.
Gun noise, exactly. Thank you. But yes. We also have Atwis.
Oh boy, I can't wait to finally be in Not America.
Sorry, West Side Story just immediately started playing in my head, but just replacing the lyric with "Not in America."
Oh, good.
Yeah. There is also Upgraded Moon, also known as Jordan.
I wasn't wearing pants until 20 minutes ago.
Most of us were not either. It's all right. There is also, of course, the Brodingles. The Brodingles, the one and only Brodingles.
God, I really am, though. Like, this username had no way to be taken anywhere else.
This is very true. And last but certainly not the least, the one and only Kristen Crime Straczynski.
There is, in fact, only one Kristen Crime Straczynski. If you look up my last name, ain't nobody else. If you can spell it, which you will probably fail.
Yeah, the first few attempts, at least.
The first few attempts, they will fail.
It's fine. Polish names make no fucking sense.
They really fucking don't.
They really don't. Like, mine means son of a fisherman. Like, ain't that just weird? Like, yeah. Yeah,
I don't even know what mine means. I couldn't tell you the first thing about what Straczynski means outside of, like, alcoholism. Woo!
Woof. Okay. So, spicy takes. And we're all just going to take a sip from our drinks for a second because that was a bash to the fucking proverbial kneecap.
That was, like, reeled. It was so good.
Well, not to bully my friend Atwis on Maine, but it does not take much to make Atwis crease.
That's true.
I'm sorry, I'm easily entertained. Excuse me.
Reactions, it's fine.
Have I mentioned the time I actually said "excuse me, princess" to a Zelda cosplayer?
No.
In actual context, which it was at a convention. This was many years ago. This is totally unrelated to anything we're about to jump into, but I feel talking about this it was an artist alleyway, and it was this Zelda cosplayer wearing a massive, beautiful ball gown, but she was truly blocking the entire row and just standing still. So I went up behind her and I said, "Excuse me, princess." She immediately bolted out of the way, and she was laughing, so I was worried for a second that I may have made a poor joke, but no, she was actually like creasing herself. So that was a truly actual in context time I've used that meme, because I guess it's 2021 and people still quote that. It's one of those everlasting, undying memes.
It's everlasting. Also, I just saw chat spell my name, and guys, you're cheating. It's on the fucking
Yeah,
screen.
it's right there.
Nice try, chat.
I know how
Fun
to
fact,
spell Krasinski.
It took me until 5th grade to manage to do it without looking at my own fucking name tag. It's a weird name. It's hard.
For some reason, my brain just goes Tra and then goes CZ. Well, C Zinski. So like, because for some reason my brain puts the C. My brain puts the C and the Z together as like a sound, because it's like, oh, European. The C and the Z go together. But like, that's how I remember how to spell it. But like, and it's gotten to the point where I just spell your name often enough where it's just like off the cuff, you know.
My last name's
Polish
just
spelling. Oh, it is just food. That's fair. Polish spelling notwithstanding, it is time for us to play our game. We're gonna get into it tonight. So yeah, when we last left off the Disaster Gang, I will sigh every time I say it. Still, 12 episodes in.
That's canonically their name.
Technically 21 at this point. And yeah, crazy. The Disaster Gang have wrapped up a number of deeply emotional affairs in their respective personal lives back in America. James and Sybil having a new wall kind of built between them in the aftermath of Juju House. Mason actually really just kind of vibing and just being in that situation, like just tangentially, but had a very emotional moment with kind of at his father's grave, this man he had never met before, and kind of had this internal revelation and decision to move forward. And of course, we also learned that Kit Sullivan and Sunil Pandey are in a romantic relationship and are engaged to each other and have been secretly for a very long time. Or, in the words of Jordan last session, I thought they were homies!
I thought they were homies.
It was great. We all loved it. Regardless, we are going to jump back into where we left off, which is the group, after reconvening in New York, wrapping up the remaining loose ties, booked passage on a passenger liner to England. You are aboard the Laurentide. It is a French name that is spelled a French way. But can someone, for the love of God, remind me what day you guys left on? Because I am terrible at keeping track of that sometimes.
Glances.
It's 9
Last
days.
I have is
Yeah.
February 4th, 1925 is the last thing I have written down in my date sidebar.
All right, the dates got all weird at some point. Oh,
Yeah,
That's true.
That's February 4th.
Yeah. So that was when Sybil got the books.
yes, correct.
So I believe we established that Kit and Sunil were in Boston for how long again? I should have written this down. I just didn't know.
It was around 8 days, I believe. Hold on, actually, I have it written down somewhere.
Because I remember we talked about this. It is not.
because Boston would have been January 28th to February 4th, and they returned on February 4th. They were picked up at the Grand
that's
Central
right.
Station by Mason and Sybil. Because it was the same day she got her books.
yeah,
Oh,
right, because
yeah.
she showed up in the car.
Yeah, showed up with all the books.
Oh, that is
Yes.
correct. Thank you for reminding me. I was mistaken. All right, wonderful. So yes, it is.
Sorry, I got the dates of the actual session and the dates we did things confused because we had the session on the 5th, so I was reading.
you're good.
Sorry.
So yes, it is a 9-day ocean voyage to Southampton from New York. So the journey aboard the Laurentide takes place between February I think 5th is you guys left the next day. So February 5th and February 14th. So you got plenty of time on a boat together, which it is an actual passenger liner meant for people, like 4 passengers. It's not like it's like a freight boat. It's you have rooms, you have kind of suites, that's what they're called. Obviously I assume that Sybil had booked nicer accommodations for herself, but relatively decent accommodations for everybody else provided through the fund managed by Carlton Ramsey. And actually, because we are still on an American like ship and like we're not quite in London yet, I'm actually gonna play a little bit of a light jazzy ambient thing going on just for, you know, it exists. But yeah. So what else do we need to wrap up? Oh, I mentioned before that if anybody wanted to spend time with to use their key connection for extra sanity points back, you're welcome to still do that. I mean, it's the perfect time to do that. Obviously, Mason, you already had your scene last session, but
yeah, I need to get a new key item.
Yeah, and I need to remind Split once he gets in here that James has the same option as well.
Yeah, I'm like, if anyone should be spending time with his key object to try to get his sanity back, it's James O'Connell.
It is James O'Connell. It absolutely is. God. But yeah, does Kit or Sunil have a particular vested interest in getting any sanity points back by doing a little bit there?
I'm at my max team.
Fair.
I thought about it because I've been thinking about it for the past like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I think I ended up at this exact moment because before I was just like, yes, he would clearly be doing that. I think at this exact moment he's kind of like, actually, I'm good. So
For the by exact moment, I mean the entire duration of the boat ride.
Yeah.
Cool.
By exact moment, I mean me, the player, is saying that I'm probably not gonna.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Thumbs up. Yeah, you're good. Okay, cool. Then when Split gets in here, I'll ask him about James O'Connell if he wants to use that for him, because let me just double check the travel appendix just so we're all clear on because I've mentioned before that you can technically learn new skills on a boat, but that requires a journey of like a minimum of 14 days long. So it's, you know, a 9-day trip. You unfortunately don't get to go through those mechanics. But let's see. Travel. There you are. Yes. Okay. So yeah, we basically did all like the major steps, which is we completed all of the things of the investigator development phase, like 2 sessions prior, and we also did a couple of sanity things now. So largely, mechanically, I think we're pretty solid on what we need to do going forward, because you guys did everything. Unless there was, I mean, again, it really just boils down to when Split gets here, we can address that sanity mechanic, because self-care is a part of the development phase to get more sanity points back. But yeah. Anywho, actually, this actually raises a very important question I just realized, which is Mason used oh, you know what? I thought there was gonna be overlap. There was not, because technically, since it was part of the same development phase, you can't do 2 bouts of self-care. So like I was about to say, it's like, oh, you already did your check, but that counts as a self-care during the development phase, even though that the development phase was kind of nebulous. Atlas, you have your hand up.
Could he still find a new key connection potentially?
That's still a thing he can do, and I certainly hope he put thought to it during the week that we've been away from playing.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it, but I'm also like, Mason he doesn't really have much to begin with in terms of items, and people he has less.
Okay.
So I just try to.
You can also do ideologies, right?
It could be a concept, it could be a place, it could be...
It could be a place, it could be ideologies. It just, you have to make some argument for how you'd be able to use that for sanity point regaining, even if it's just like reflecting on very potent memories, you know? So I'll give you a moment to do that while...
I've already thought of something.
Oh boy, let's hear it.
The cranium has printed out a thing. Beep, beep. He's going to think about where he was when he was 14 and where he is now. The concept of like how far you have grown since then.
Let's ascribe a specific single word to that, because I love it. Like, so like what you want... It could just be...
You know what that's called? Growth.
It could just be self-growth. You could just do self-growth as your current key connection of taking pride in the fact that where you were to where you are now. You can do that, yeah. I mean, ultimately, a key connection's purpose is to kind of quintessentially boil down the idea of what does your character believe in. And previously you had this like, oh, I'm aspiring to live up to this ideal of an individual I've never met before. But now it's just the sense, now that sounds like Mason's just coming from a place of, I've made a lot of progress in like my life now. So I look at where I've been and versus where I am now. Now that is what he subscribes to, more than just I am living up to an ideology that I could never really meet up to. That works. I love that. Great. Fantastic.
Self-growth.
Well,
Self-growth.
I will ask Kitten Sunil, by the way, who on board. Let's actually like address really quickly with the situation on the Laurentide. So obviously, everyone has their suites and their rooms. I gotta know, just for everyone involved, are Kitten Sunil still doing the separate chambers kind of thing?
Well, I mean, we wouldn't want to dip too far into the expedition coffers, so it only makes sense to share the suite.
He's so right about so many things.
It's like, oh no, Carlton, I'm so sorry. We can't be as selfish as that. We will stay in the same room if we must.
I mean, Sybil may insist, but no.
God.
We understand that funds are
We only
limited.
have so many funds, and we might have Sybil Cordova here, but really, we can't keep digging into her pockets like that. No, it's just
Wouldn't want to be a bother.
Wouldn't want to be a bother.
God. Yeah, you got you guys are in like probably like second class. So yeah, I mean, like, we'll say that the cabins on the ship do vary in size depending on the amount of the ticket you paid for. Obviously, Sybil, if she went for a first class ticket, is got like a nicer first class suite. But second class like cabins are actually, they can fit like 2 to up to 4 people. So I would assume it's so hard to throw questions out there with one of our players not here when my immediate questions concern James O'Connell, which is largely like, is he? I assume that he and Sybil still have the same room.
They still have the same room.
Even if things are like chilly at the moment, like it's not like they're like,
they wouldn't not get a room together or anything like that.
Mom and Dad, you're fighting again.
Okay, but that kind of pops up a question of, is Mason okay being in a room by himself, given how
he's
things
fine.
are going? Okay.
He had some self-reflection over the week. He is okay with having a room alone this time around. Plus, he's on a boat, so he's like, if anyone's gonna come attack at night, they're gonna have to swim. So,
unless
I love that
they're
Mason's
already on the. Okay.
I love that Mason's default assumption is like, there could not possibly be bad people on this boat. They'd have to swim. Like,
I love Mason.
nothing could go wrong.
he puts.
I mean, there was
so
a murder
much,
on the train.
He
Mason.
puts so much faith in the Port Authority of New York.
Like, listen, don't you know cultists can't swim? We're safe.
He's kind of dipping into like the ignorance a little bit. He needs to be relaxed on this boat ride. This poor fucking disaster.
So much. He's doing fine. He's okay. It's fine.
He's doing okay.
There's nothing wrong with
The dumber I make him, the happier he is. So
fully embrace the himboification of Mason Allen. God. Anyway,
a self-imposed himboification.
Exactly. Mason, yeah, you got like a like one of those like smaller like single passenger second class cabins, which is mostly just it's so small, so narrow. It's mostly just like a single like foldable like ship bunk, and it's got like maybe like a small little table next to like the porthole and a chair. It's it's not like you're not like in like steerage. You're not like sleeping in the deep hole. No, you're just in like a single small passenger cabin, while Mason and Sunil, you are sharing a second class multi-person room, which again has like the 2 bunks kind of thing going on. And of course, Sybil with her more opulent first class suite. But yeah, so with 9 days of like ship travel on the Atlantic Ocean, which, hey, we loved it. We love a cruise, but remember, it is like the middle of winter right now on the Atlantic. So it is cold. It's probably like most of the day spent within the interior regions of the actual Laurentide and not like on the deck where it is kind of frigid. The ocean spray and wind not helping that whatsoever. But with 9 days of just on this passenger liner, like what's everybody really doing? Like what is your 9 days of not having to really do anything other than just wait the trip out? What's going on for you guys? Anyone's free to take it away wherever they want.
So, Mason, Kit, and probably Steele at this point too. If I may probably have seeked out Mason at this probably as soon as they all got settled into the accommodations and just sort of showed up at his cabin or had, you know, him come by theirs and just, did something happen while we were gone?
Honestly, I haven't really talked to either of them that much. You know, Sybil and I went shopping and James has been off on his own, but I'm guessing from in passing something must have happened at Juju House. I don't know much past that.
Well, I was watching James at Juju House. I was trying to keep track of things, and he walked away very far.
He wasn't there.
He, in more ways than one, really, it seemed. Maybe it has something to do with that.
I mean, and has it gotten any better, or was it like this the entire time we were gone?
Honestly, it's been pretty stagnant right now.
Are you doing okay?
And there is a split. Hello, welcome. Not to interrupt the scene really quickly, but just, hey, welcome, Split Guardian.
Took me a minute. I'm sorry.
You're all good, buddy.
But and I both just started flailing our arms like madmen.
Started flailing, and like Split's like really like blurred out, and he's like wearing a hat, so he looked like some weird shadowy duck wiggling violently on the camera. Sorry.
You are all good.
The hat had genuinely provided a level of comedy that would not have been here had he not been wearing it.
I'm very happy to hear this. Again, welcome,
but Mason,
welcome, Split, but yes, please resume.
Mason, addressing Kit, he was like, I've been surprisingly okay since then. Then again, I also wasn't there to take the majority of the pounding, both up here and, you know what I mean? And Mason kind of like does like little punchy movements to convey physical damage.
Sunil almost like without thinking about it kind of like does light dodges while he's doing this, even though it doesn't really make any sense to you. It's like,
For the most part, I've been okay. I've just been trying to think about how to talk to them about it. You know, I haven't pried much since it happened, and you know, it was partially probably none of my business.
Well, if it's still happening, I mean, I could maybe just have a chat with James, see if he wants to talk. I mean, we're on the boat for 9 days anyway. Why not, right?
Yeah, that'd be a good move. I was thinking about just maybe playing cards with him, just to talk to him. Not about that, but to just talk.
Yeah.
Sunil has done that thing he does where he puts his head down a little bit, his hand on his chin. He's just like, I could maybe talk to Sybil and well, I kind of wanted to do this anyway, so I guess it just would work out. Maybe you mentioned getting cards. Maybe we could just all get together at some point. you think? I don't know. We haven't done anything like that in a while. Just breathed.
That doesn't sound like a bad idea. Xander, is
Yes.
there like do they have like dinner like events at this like on this boat?
Like, what do you mean,
Or
like
is this
dinner
just-
events? Like
Like do they have like an area that like people just kind of eat at, or is it just like take
yeah,
your food,
no,
get the fuck in your room?
it's a passenger liner where it does have recreational areas for like dining. I mean, you're welcome to bring your food back to your room if you want and order food to your room, but like there are spaces for like, you know, for like there's like probably like a smoking lounge, like a recreational dining area, probably like not like a casino, but like a place where people probably who do want to play cards can play cards. Yeah, it's like a nice low-key cruise ship. You know, it's as the times pass on, they keep getting bigger and more extravagant until you get like what we see today. But yeah, it's got amenities.
Yeah. Okay, keep that in my pocket for now. We'll just keep that in the pocket. It's a little pocket of information.
Real quick, now that Split's here, because I was waiting to address some James-related questions until he was here. So Split, riddle me this, because we were just talking about, we were just establishing the factors of like what the 9 days in the sea kind of looks like, which is obviously Sybil has booked out like one of like the first class like suites for James and Sybil. Mason has his own little like small second class like single passenger cabin, and Kit and Sunil are sharing a cabin in the second class as well. For James, by the way, during this time period, do you want to do a self-help sanity check to possibly get more sanity points back? Which is, I mean, by default, the self-help thing is just like self-reflecting and like finding comfort. And then as a bonus, you can also use your key connection to get a bonus die on that sanity roll. And also, if you had indefinite insanity, it would immediately cure that. I mean, you obviously don't, but do you want James to have kind of this like private, like self-reflective, putting the pieces of himself back together while at sea bit, just for some added mechanical benefits?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah. So, because Mason did this last session. So what you do for self-help is you just kind of like go into some detail about like what James is doing to like seek that kind of healing or redemption, like what he's kind of doing on the ship for what that entails. And then you would make a sanity roll, and if you fail that, well, you some things happen. But if you succeed, you get some things back. I will say, by the way, if you want to fold in, because I know we're probably gonna role play out some stuff with James and Sybil and communication. If you want to have that fold into like the overarching check, like, here's what I'll say: if you want to make the check now, and if you like succeed, then maybe that will color your role playing of, you know, you're steering towards a more positive outcome. And if you fail the check, that's not necessarily mean bad things are going to happen in the role play. It just means that James is probably a bit more dour or in the pits than he would be otherwise, if that's something you want to do. To kind of like let the dice decide how you're doing mentally. Yeah.
Hold on. Just for chat, just to have it a little bit of flavor. Just
thank you, sir.
Ooh,
that was
thank
crisp.
You.
Free fucking serotonin. Yeah, so why don't you go ahead and give it now?
Dude, all the foam.
Go ahead and just, obviously, like, the interactions that will be happening in a moment to come, give us a little flavor of, like, what, you know, the details of what James is kind of doing on this boat trip that is him putting the pieces of himself back together.
Okay. So James, after where we last left him, he hasn't really gotten all that much better.
Yeah.
He tries his best. He really does. He, like, whenever he's hanging out with Mason, he is doing his best to just be hanging out with his friend and having a good time and shooting the shit. And whenever he's, whenever he's alone, he's let's say on the boat itself, the majority of the time you can picture him either on one of the sides or on the bow, somewhere just kind of leaning up against a railing where nobody's walking through and having a drink. The majority of the time, like, James drinks, but
I think this. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. I just realized that this has extremely interesting implications of if this is a liner that is operating between a country where prohibition is a thing and where prohibition is not a thing. Like, once you're out in international waters, they probably have a bar.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah, so, like,
you guys are back in
James-
civilization.
Yep, James.
Back in the
James,
real world.
before they get into international waters,
Yeah.
typically hanging out with his flask, you know. After international waters, man's got a glass in hand. Man is one of the patrons of the bar, one of the parts, like, I don't want to say main patrons, but
Yeah.
main patrons of the bar.
A regular.
A regular. Good terms. But the majority of the time he is, like, even after Kit and Sunil came back, he came by. He was like, "It's great to see you guys. I hope you had fun," all that kind of shit. But then afterwards, instead of hanging out the whole time as he normally would, just kind of walked off.
Mm-hmm.
Did his general amenities and then made his way to be alone again. To sum it all up, the majority of the time he had been drinking and stuck in his own head trying to put the cogs back in place.
I love this. So let's talk about this mechanically for a second. So obviously with the default self-help, it is like, yeah, you go on, you detail kind of like what this entails. And if you fail the sanity check, then, like, for example, if you were going on some kind of like religious retreat to, like, for the self-help, and you failed that, it's like you lose touch with your faith. You know, that would be one thing. So by default, without the inclusion of your key connection, like, maybe, and I'm just pitching this at you, a possibility for failure here is that, like, drinking offers you no solace anymore, or depending on if people want to go down that road, is James becomes a bit more of a heavy drinker. But that's an entirely other subject matter that for that we can go into later. If you want to add your key connection, which is, I believe, James's credo, then essentially, again, same deal, you'll get a bonus die on your sanity check, and if you fail it, you also lose that key connection.
I'll say that his key connection actually doesn't typically apply to this situation.
I get that. I'm just asking you if you do want to use it for the bonus on the check. No? Okay, cool.
He wouldn't even think about his code.
Okay. If you don't want to use your key connection, I hear that. Then give me a straight sanity roll.
Boy.
Baba Booey.
Baba Booey.
Hey, fantastic. That is a
God bless.
wonderful, palpable relief. All right, James, roll yourself a d6 and take that many sanity points back.
Oh my God, guys! It was successful.
It was a successful
Successful
sanity
roll.
check.
It's a Christmas miracle.
Christmas.
The
fucking
words aren't
miracle.
coming out just yet.
I love it.
That works.
Hey,
Hey,
That puts
So you
me
know
above
what?
50.
Yeah, so you know what? Like, taking, like, honestly, away from the buzz of the city, on a boat in the middle of the fucking Atlantic Ocean, just having, like, frequent, not, like, you wouldn't, I mean, like, I would argue, like, even just me as a person would say, this is not, like, a bar trip rooted in alcoholism. This is truly just, like, leisure. This is just, like, I'm not, like, drinking until I am drunk. I am just drinking to release, to loosen up, to just allow myself to actually feel things, and the okayness with allowing you to lose a bit of your own, like, mental walls by letting the alcohol seep into you without it being like an alcoholism. I'm going to drink heavily, and this is basically just James doing what he's got to do and what he knows he's got to do. And for you, it is actually a very like opening experience. It allows you to actually reconcile with yourself, not like everything, but truly just kind of lets your mind center in and focus on the issues at hand, and just kind of take comfort in the fact that you are here, your friends are here, civilization has not crumbled, and more importantly, like, you have not fallen apart. And if you are able to still grab at those pieces of yourself and put them back together is no small comfort. So yeah, excellent, wonderful. Then please, by all means, let us resume the collective role play, and I will mostly be relegated to narrating here and there and answering questions. But yeah, if anyone wants to, just feel free to just throw out stuff for this 9-day trip.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going, then Kit talked to Mason and was like, I guess I'll talk to James. I will say, before Kit left that conversation with Mason, he sort of like paused in the doorway, turned back and said, oh, and Aaron sends her regards, by the way. And then just leaves.
Kit, what did she say? Kit!
He's down the fucking hall. He's gone. He's up the stairs.
Kit. Mason just giggling in his chair.
Oh my god. Incredible. You'll love it.
Anyway,
Yes.
Kit will probably at some point during this journey, it doesn't have to be like right after the conversation, but at some point once the time presents itself, he sort of finds his way to the freezing, frigid decks of the ship and just sort of joins James on the rail. Just doesn't really say anything at first, just sort of stays there for company's sake, but just after a little while of watching the gray ocean go past him.
I will say in that silence, because he would definitely notice Kit come up and lean on the railing. Just, if there is nothing said within a couple minutes, the flask in his hand that he had been like nursing, he just kind of hand it off.
And Kit would gratefully take it, take a sip, hand it back, let himself warm up a bit, and just sort of just wanted to check in, see how things were going with you. Haven't seen you around for a little bit.
You noticed that, huh?
Well, I hesitate to say it's my job, but
It's not your job anymore.
no, it's not. But I like noticing things about people who are important to me. So there you have it.
There we have it. It's a good trait to have. Don't worry about it. It's I'm all right. I'm not all right. No, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not all right. But I'm. And he flashes Kit a smile, shakes his flask a little bit. I'm getting there.
Seems like it. Good thing we're out in international waters.
Oh, God. I should have left fucking America years ago.
Trust me. Well, if you ever happen to be in Berlin, I'll give you my address. I know a few good cabarets I'm sure you'd have a lot of fun in.
Actually. Now, Mr. Sullivan, you have to understand. And he turns and leans back, elbows up against the railing, still holding his flask in hand.
Right.
A little, he seems loose, which is to say, has already had a bit to drink.
Yeah.
That brings up wonderful questions. No, actually, terrible questions, but questions nonetheless. Mr. Sullivan, you've been to Berlin, you've been to Germany. That's not a place I ever exactly planned to visit.
So
Where else have you been?
Oh. I mean, I've spent time in England, I've spent time in London. I live in Berlin now, and he sort of takes a side. He's sort of facing opposite the way James is, his elbows on the railing, looking out over the sea. It was never, not sure how to put this, but it's just people, same as anyone else. But that's beside the point.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I know. Fuck. I know.
And I know what you're asking too.
Yeah. Sorry,
I have.
And he holds out the flask again, just to make it easier.
Yeah, Kit takes it and he holds on to it this time for
Take
a little
as much
while
as you want.
talks.
I've had a bit to drink already.
Yeah, but no. To answer your question, I have been back to France. Just
There's
once.
a pause. Yeah, they're like. Kit says just once, and there's a definite like hang in the air for a moment, and James kind of like takes that in, looks out over the bolts of the walls of the boat, gets up, kind of shuffles a bit from his leaned position to turn back and look back out to the ocean.
Yeah.
And he looks over at Kit. Looks directly at him.
Yeah.
Simple question. How is it?
It's and Kit will look him directly back in the face. He's sincere and just no, it's something else. You wouldn't recognize it. I hardly did too. There's no more mud. The grass is growing. The barbed wire is rusting. People are rebuilding. And shells are rusting into the earth. It's you almost wouldn't recognize it. You almost wouldn't recognize what's underneath all that greenery. It's moved on, in a way. Kind of envy that.
As he's speaking, James has like a moment, like still in his stupor. He just kind of like his head goes slack as it just kind of drops in that sigh of just a light relief. One that can't really be described, but is still light.
It sort of takes a breath and just. So you asked yours, and I'll ask mine. Have you ever thought about it? Going back yourself?
Occasionally. Not very hard. I'm worried I might be a little too much of a coward to do so. Too many ghosts. too many faces that I wouldn't be able to recognize waiting for me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, if I can be completely honest with you, I didn't really go back for myself. Not really.
It's for him, isn't it?
Kit sort of like, sort of like tilts his head, like sort of shrugs his shoulder.
James just kind of still leaning against the railing. He was looking down over the. Let's say we're on the starboard side. He looking down over the wall, over the hull. But that grin, he just kind of grins and then shakily, like loosely, looks his head over to meet Kit's gaze. No other words need to be shared.
Kit sort of averts his eyes anyway, as if he's suddenly uncomfortable, but he lets it stand, and without going too much into it, we're very close, and I didn't. Kit sort of like pauses, and he takes another swig and sort of passes the flask back off to James and sort of taps his fingers on the railing. I didn't know how else to explain it to him.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, so we went back. I took him back to the Argonne, and we crossed the Meuse, and I took him up the hill, and I walked through it, and I don't think we've ever talked about it. It's not really something you talk about sober, but Kid sort of like reaches up, and he doesn't quite touch the disfigured side of his face, but he sort of like gestures at it. November 9th, 1918. 2 days before armistice.
James just nods. Nods like he understands more than anyone else can. Like he's seen.
Yeah.
Almost as if he were there, but not there. Not in that specific location.
Well, I'll say this much. There are a lot of ghosts in those fields, in those woods, in everything else, but there's nothing wrong with carrying them with you. There's no shame in that.
I understand that. But given our positions, I think it's a bit different. You have more willing to accept you. I have more willing wanting. At least I think.
You think she wouldn't? Understand, I mean. Or try to. As much as one could.
I don't know, Kit. I don't know. I'm pretty sure she'd see it as another cool story, and even then that might be for the best.
Kid sort of takes a breath, but he sort of reaches out and puts a hand on James's shoulder and squeezes it and then lets his hand fall. Nobody's ever really gonna understand. They can come close, but nobody ever will.
No.
It's senseless. It always has been. But I'm not very good at this, but
You're right. No one ever will.
No one ever will.
We need to hang out more often, Kit.
I would greatly appreciate that. The alcohol is nice, but not mandatory.
I always have it on me.
Very true.
While this conversation is going down, is there anybody who is planning to talk to each other as well? Any other conversations that are and again, it's not necessarily a linear timeline. Is there any other conversations that want to be had?
Sunil and Sybil are probably going to talk.
Let's do it.
Cool.
All right. Well, since she got on the ship, basically the second she put her bags away, Sybil has mostly been spending her time in any common area possible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's just avoiding everyone. Like, okay, cool. I'm going to talk to everyone possible. I'm going to get drinks. I'm going to get food. I'm going to avoid everything as much as possible. So that's what she's doing.
I see that Sunil is like, well, I guess I'm going to have to be a bloodhound for my friend then.
Oh, Jesus.
To think this man would not track this woman down would be an incorrect
No. It is absolutely the Sunil Pandey thing to do.
God.
I mean, it's not like it's hard to find Sybil Cordova anywhere, really.
Yeah.
You just have to follow the crowd of people.
It's like, okay, so imagine, if you will, Sunil, like, pushing himself through probably like a gang of men who are all trying to buy this woman who doesn't need you to buy her a drink. It's like, hello fellows, hello, excuse me. He sits down. Hi, Sybil. Her name is Sybil. Yes, her name is Sybil. Move.
Sybil! Lovely to see you. Would
Lovely
you like
to
a
see you.
drink?
Probably, I can do that now.
Did we make it far enough? Oh, good, this is legal now. Great.
It's legal now.
Glad to hear that. All right.
You're out of your barbaric system where it's not legal.
Indeed. Let's get drinks. Yeah. I want the fruitiest cocktail possible, please.
I want the second fruitiest cocktail possible, please. For sake of the audience, Xander has just put the
Pantomime, 2 drinks being put in front of you guys. Yes. No, your drinks are, yes, the drinks are provided.
So I haven't had the chance to ask, how was Boston?
Oh, Boston was fantastic. Kit and I took it as a small vacation from the hullabaloo and all.
Hey, congratulations! That sounds lovely.
Sips his drink a little bit. It seems as though maybe you have not had as much space. Have you been getting any space, Sybil?
Everything's been fine. No, it's been good. Mason and I went shopping. I read some books. I studied some spells. It's been a fine time. It's been perfectly great. Actually, you know what? I think I might take this drink, and I'm gonna go check out the decks. So if
wait, Sybil, you just started. How are we going to? We need to catch up, and we need to do. I just caught up with you, and these guys, these boorish guys. He just keeps looking over his shoulder. Will just follow you there, and they might be doing things for you. But really, is that really the environment you want to be in? You know what? If you go somewhere, maybe I should go with you.
I mean, that doesn't really seem like it's necessary, but
please, it's the least I could do is keep my very close friend as safe as possible. Sit down, Sybil.
Sybil sits down and slurps her drink.
So, you said everything's been fine, as fine can be?
Mm-hmm.
You're very convincing. I hope you know that.
I mean, I'm told I'm actually an excellent liar if I need to. That's not true. Actually, I'm a terrible liar.
Absolutely terrible. So maybe we should, I don't know, tell the truth. Sybil, please.
I don't.
You went from a Muppet to a bee in 2 seconds flat.
Sybil Cordova hitting a pitch that only dogs can hear in record time.
Somewhere on like the ship, you just hear. Proceed.
I don't know. I don't know what to do. Everything's weird. I don't know what to do. I'm not used to not. I mean, I don't know what to do, but usually, you know, people help me or somebody's there, and I thought things did not go how I thought it was gonna go, and I don't know what to do. Everything's weird.
Okay, well, let's take this one step at a time. I'm now here to help. We now have 2 brains on this thing, okay?
2 whole brains, okay.
2 whole brains. 2 whole brains. It's better than 1. Next, tell me where you wanted things to happen. I don't even know what happened.
Okay, so, you know, James walked away when we saw the horrible thing, and I was like, okay, well, James has been horribly hurt. If I were like that, I would want to be alone, and I was like, I need to know what did this to my husband, so I had to go down into the basement. It was very important that I go down into the basement. So I did, and I thought that was good because it seemed like the right thing to do, and I know that maybe it was not the right thing to do now. That has now occurred to me that perhaps that was the wrong move. I just thought that if I thought I...
Okay.
Sips drink.
One, we're not going to beat ourselves up while we're telling a story, okay? We're going to say what happened, and then we will figure out how to fix it, okay? We'll figure out what to do from there. You thought you were doing a good thing, yes? That to me tells me that you were trying to do what was right, and it might not have turned out that way,
So,
yes?
maybe it wasn't right. I don't...
But it ended up not going the way you thought, yes?
Bad things happen when people are around me. That's just sort of always been a thing. And I thought if I could figure out why this bad thing happened, then I could keep more bad things from happening. And then there was a big old flesh monster in a well, and I thought it was really lovely, which I'm also realizing might not have been the best response because I don't think no one else thought it was lovely, and I don't know why I'm the only person who thinks that. And I thought I've always thought when these things happen, the best thing to do is to go ahead and figure it out, because I will be okay, because I am always okay, and if I am okay, then nobody else will get hurt. But James got hurt anyway, and he got hurt because I didn't follow him, and I should have... This doesn't happen with him very often. He's always the one supporting me. I don't usually support him, and I was doing what was right for me, but it wasn't right for him, and I don't know what to do. I never know what to do, actually. I don't know what to do if I don't... Starts, like, curling her hair around her finger. The drink is now empty.
Sunil puts up a hand for another one, but, like, he also, with her permission, puts his hand out a little bit to maybe put it on her shoulder.
If
she says no, he will put it down.
She leans against him. She's like,
Then he puts his hand down immediately.
No. She like leans against his shoulder, like, no. Come back here. What are you doing?
Human touch. Listen, I try to fall. Okay. Sybil. You made a decision. It turned out not to be the one that you needed to make at that time. Am I understanding that far? And you really care about James, yes?
Yes, of course. More than anything.
More than anything. All right. It seems you have several fears going on here. You are worried about those around you, just in general, that you are some sort of omen of bad luck. May I venture?
Cordova curse.
Cordova curse.
Cordova curse.
And you thought you did what was best for you in your own words, but not what was best for James. First off, we're going to acknowledge that we did something that we shouldn't have done. You've already done that. We don't need to do it again. All right? I helped you do that. I will take some of the blame for it. I could have told you no, but I also wanted to know what was in the well. We will take some sort of dual ownership of this decision. Yes?
Okay.
All right? I also saw James. I also didn't speak to him. It's an entire thing. Yes. All right? Secondarily, I cannot sit here and tell you that this kind of curse is something that just doesn't exist and you should ignore it and whatever. I can't tell you that. We've seen too much, and honestly, I understand the feeling. Really, it might not seem like it, but not to the same degree, but let us say we were both wearing a hat and it is the exact same hat. We would both say same hat, yes.
We are perhaps all relatively good at courting some sort of disaster.
Courting some sort of disaster. Now, I'm assuming you tried to speak to James at some point.
Yeah.
What did he tell you?
He asked why I didn't come after him. And he saw something bad. And he was hurt that between the thing that I wanted to see and him, I chose the thing I wanted to see.
All right.
And I mean, at the end of the day, that's a little true. It's not true. I don't know if you noticed this, but I will usually do what I want. That's nobody tells me no. So
Would have foreseen to a certain extent. Well, not foreseen. I have seen both in the past, and I foresee in the future. But okay, so if I may use a personal thing that stops me whenever I'm about to do something that might be a little off color that others have told me not to do. Something you can do to help James is take 1 second. When you are about to do something that you really want to do, something impulsive, something fantastical, something that will get you the information that you want, because by God do we know that we want it. 1 single second. You have to force yourself for that 1 single second, and you have to do it for James to think, is this really okay? And it's a quick one. It's a quick question. You can say yes or no as fast as possible, but that 1 second can make the complete difference between doing something that hurts someone and doing something that doesn't. And it's hard. It's really hard, especially when you really want to see it, and you really want to do it, and you really want to eat it. It's really hard. But I always ask. I always want to keep the person who's important to me, the people who are important to me, involved in my decisions, even if they are ones that they don't necessarily agree with. Just taking that single second for someone else is all that you can do at this point. The past has happened. You've made the mistake. Now all you can do is try to be better. And that's okay. And you might fall and you might not always do it, but we're humans. We're not perfect.
Well, that seems hard. No, I want to, it's just, you'd think I'd be used to this now. It's been 4 years, but I'm not used to having to think about other people when I make decisions, that's all. And it's scary if you have to think about other people. It means that if something bad happens to you, it's not just happening to you.
It is. And that's the terrifying thing about getting close, isn't it? I didn't realize how close I was to you people until recently, for those same reasons, really. And now I'm worried that you will get hurt, or Kit will get hurt, or James will get hurt, or Mason will get hurt, or any of you will get hurt because I did something that I shouldn't have done, or just because something has happened. But that's sadly that's the exchange you make when you care. And it sounds like you care, Sybil Cordova. Dangerous a game as that is.
Yeah. I don't know what to do for him. I want to do better, but I don't know what I can do for someone outside of, being rich and being cute and looking at things. Like I know this may sound absurd because I can buy a lot of things and you would think that's actually worth quite a bit, but that's really, James always looks out for me. I don't know how to look out for James, is the thing.
All right. Maybe we could follow what James does for you and take a back step and think of what that could do for James. Like, for instance, back in New York, I wanted to give you a gift, so I asked James, or something that would matter to you specifically, because what do you get the girl that has everything,
He actually doesn't like things.
No. I'm not saying give him a thing. I'm saying that the heart behind it was, what is something that 100% is for Sybil? Remove everything for a second and just go, all right, what's something that would, ignoring yourself for a single second, something that would make James happy?
I think I have something.
That's a step.
Yeah, it'll probably be okay.
It'll probably be okay, Sybil.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not.
It's okay. Hold on.
Pats her face. Sorry, I don't know what I'm doing. I should be throwing your hat or something. So all of this.
Wait,
makes
no,
sense.
don't. Not in the public place. It might actually land on someone, and that would cause a whole fight, and it's not worth it. But
Are you gonna fight someone for your hat?
I would totally fight someone for this hat. Yes.
Sybil
Don't
even
no,
more
he puts his hand on his head immediately, but she doesn't. Not here, not now, maybe later. He sticks his tongue out back. It's going to be all right, okay? I care about you very much, Cordova.
Well, I care about you too, Mr. Panday. Thank you. She kisses him on the cheek. Mwah.
Aww.
Thank you.
That's adorable.
Okay, I'm gonna go attempt to talk to my husband. I hope this goes okay.
We'll be fine.
I'm capable of commitment.
You probably are.
I probably am. It's fine. It's been.
They're like yelling across the bar at this point. It'll be fine.
In some
Don't
distant
follow her out. I'll kill you myself.
In some distant corner of the bar, there's just some dude who's enjoying a drink with a newspaper and just goes, Jesus. But real quick, while with Sybil, now you're determined to go speak to your husband. I of course need to insert the quick juxtaposition of a quick flash over to some bullshit Mason's probably doing. Like, Jordan, can you enlighten me or throw something? Like something Mason's doing that is completely tangentially unrelated.
So Mason moved all of his blankets and pillows underneath the bed because he discovered that it's warmer down there than it is above. He also now somehow he doesn't remember doing this, but now there are 3 half-filled cups of water.
Motherfucker.
I'm just gonna spill the boat tilts, my man.
No, I didn't think about that. There's 3 half-filled cups of water and 1 that is knocked over. He can't find the water that came from it though.
They would all knock over if one was going to knock over.
Oh no, that was just patient 0. The rest of the cups is proof that he hasn't learned.
So he just ignored the first one.
Yes, that is exactly what I'm implying.
Damn, bitch, you live like this?
The random bullshittery. What else? Oh yes, was there a window on his boat?
There's a portal.
Or like in his, he opened it up, got splashed with water immediately, and closed it. It is not a good day for Mason right now. Like it happened the second he got on the boat, and it's like, this is how the boat ride's gonna be.
They give us 2 more, and then give us 2 more Mason scenes of just events.
2 more Mason scenes of bullshittery. He got a deck of cards.
That is indeed the sound of them when you shuffle them. Yes.
He doesn't know how to shuffle. Poor Mason was like trying to teach himself how to shuffle and juggle. He did. We'll talk.
Cut.
What was that?
Yeah, he did. He tried to do that thing where like he took the cards, just like, you can do this. Like I've seen people do this before. And then he like, and like the cards didn't just like, they didn't like do that thing where they went like up into the other hand. No, they just fucking exploded.
One of them, if I may add, landed in the puddle of water from a cup and is just now a soaked, malformed card. It's a little.
Well, that's where the pile of water went. Okay. Oh. Didn't think that one through. Mason is now trying to teach himself how to juggle with little objects that he has. One is the let me look at my items of things that I have.
With a gun and it discharges. No.
No, he's has one that's a lighter, the other is a small flask. And another is his pocket knife that's just like closed.
So let me
nothing about this could go wrong.
Let me lay out 2 extremely important factors of the situation. Not only are you dealing with items that are of vastly different shapes and weights, you're also on a moving boat.
I will say that if the boat is large enough, you can't really feel that much.
No.
That's true. But yeah, he's trying to juggle. Is he successful? Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z.
All right, cool.
I will say
yeah,
that at this point, because Sunil asked you to do something, Mason, how's the shindig stuff going? What's going on?
I'm working on it.
I'm working on it. Did you get the cards?
Looks at the card in the puddle of water. Uh-huh.
Did you figure out where we're going to be doing this? Are we doing it in a room? Are we doing it in a recreational space? Like what is going on?
Yeah, sure, we'll do it in my looks at the 3 cups that he has thrown about.
This room that is the size of a broom closet, yes.
We'll I'll talk to Sybil about it. He says from the other side of the door.
Okay, just I guess don't let her pay for anyway. Okay, you sure you don't need anything?
I need some time alone.
Okay, if you say so.
Bye, Sunil. Thank you. Takes a long object, sticks it between the door handle.
Allow me to take narrative control for a moment, because I feel like this summarizes everything you've been going towards in the juggling attempts that probably follow afterwards.
Okay.
I'd like to suggest that mental picture for everyone listening and playing here. Mason particularly gets a good amount of height on one and kind of immediately gets distracted, and it's freeze frame mid. It looks like it's right about to hit him in the face. JoJo's to be continued music and little thing starts playing.
I bet you're wondering how I got myself into this mess.
Yeah, the bass line starts playing. Excellent. Okay, cool. Thank you so much Thank you so much for the Mason sidebar.
You're welcome.
All right.
Now back to our regularly scheduled
Depression.
sadness.
Yes. No, back to couples therapy, the game. So, yes.
Call
so,
of couples therapy.
Call of couples therapy. Yes. I love it. All right, cool. So, what is the deal here with the Sybil and James? Is this a like in a room kind of event, or finding each other elsewhere? Like, what is the scene you want to establish here?
Well,
What's
Sybil's
the
looking
deal
for
here? What's going on with y'all? What's with your problems?
Sybil's looking for James, so it's really up to you where James is.
That's true.
What time is
Because
it?
I pictured this in their room, but you know.
I
And by
mean, like,
time,
this can
I
happen.
mean like general like position of the sun.
Oh God, probably like, given the fact that there was, according to the roleplay established by Bro and Kristen, that there was a sizable crowd in the bar. It's probably evening.
By this point, James probably would have fucking stumbled his way back to the room.
Great.
Okay, cool.
All right. Sybil is gonna politely knock on the door. Politeness.
James, confused why anyone would be knocking on their door, gets up out of the chair, makes his way over to the door, opens the door, and then looks confused down at Sybil. Why are you knocking on our door?
I don't know. I think that's what polite people do. They knock on doors, so then, you know, if things... I'm gonna come in.
This is your door.
I'm just gonna come in. Hi.
Hi? Slowly closes door. James is, of course, a little gone, but there is a glass of water on the fucking table that has been half drank.
Fuck you. Fuck you for the pause. Fuck you.
Yeah, baby.
Okay, fuck off. Fuck off.
Hey, it's important that the Call of Cthulhu cast is only slightly hydrated.
Listen. I need to set a good example for our chat. I'm sorry, continue. Basically, James is a little tipsy. And it's very clear. You've seen your husband very tipsy before. You've seen your husband very drunk before. In fact, you've seen your husband fucking straight up blackout in the past many a time. You know his limits.
I do know.
So the way he like reacts and the way he like bodily moves and then closes the door, you can tell by this point. My husband has been drinking. Yeah.
Hi. I
Hi.
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 You okay?
Are you okay?
Making nervous gestures. Well, no, but you know, that's kind of a given.
Yeah. Yeah, same.
Yeah. Can we sit?
And he doesn't quite walk, doesn't quite waddle, doesn't quite stumble. He just kind of makes his way over to the bed and then just kind of sits down at the end of it.
Sybil sits next to him. She is, of course, very tiny next to him, as always. Just like, I feel very aware of the size difference today. Don't make that face.
What? Moving on.
Does she kick her feet? Yes. I wanted I wanted to apologize.
James quirks a brow and just physically straightens his back and looks down at his wife. Very confused look on his face, almost as if to silently say, "You, Sybil Cordova, apologizing."
Don't look at me like that! Stop that crazy! I just stop!
And that would be for
for not helping you when you needed me.
He still in his you gotta remember slightly drunken state, rolls his eyes,
Hey!
slowly leans an arm around his wife, almost leaning on her as he pulls her close, and presses a quick kiss to her forehead. I'm gonna be honest. When I'm sober, as you can tell, I'm clearly not. Processing this information is going to take a little bit. But I accept your apology, even if it's not the words that I expect to say.
You didn't expect to accept my apology?
No, I didn't expect to have this conversation.
Why not?
He's still holding a smile. He's still holding that kind of grin, but his shoulders noticeably slump a little bit at the question, almost as if he's uncomfortable with the topic. Crazy. But he just kind of, he keeps his arm around her, and it's not around her waist, it's around her shoulders and around her, holding her close. And he just kind of slowly just, well, I know you, Sybil. I know you very well. And I know that you think about a lot of things. And James is not looking her directly in the eye as he takes his pause. He is specifically looking away, like he is choosing his words very carefully. You have a lot on your mind all the time.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
But
And I figured you had something else on it.
no. James, you're all I've thought about for this week.
He's kind of deflated a bit. at that statement, and he's just presses another quick kiss to her cheek.
Oh.
And it's like very simply just, I'm sorry.
But you don't need to apologize. No, I'm apologizing. It's my turn to apologize. You don't get to apologize because I'm apologizing, so you can't apologize.
That's not why I'm apologizing.
Hmm?
I'm not apologizing because you're apologizing to me. Frankly, the fact that you're apologizing to me is kind of nice.
I don't do it very often.
I'm sorry. If you'll let me finish. I'm sorry for worrying you. I'm sorry for being so harsh. There's no way that you could understand, and given how your entire life has been, I already knew that you would do what you were going to do. I don't even know why I brought it up that night. I'm sorry. Because I know that this is why you're thinking about it.
I mean, yes, going into that basement was really important to me. But you're just as important. I thought that you being hurt was like how when I'm hurt, and I thought you wanted to be alone, and that was wrong. I'm not used to having to help you because you're always the one helping me. But I want to be able to help you too. I know I'm not very good at it. I'm not very good at helping people in general. I just tend to focus on what I want. But it's not much of a marriage if it's just one person supporting the other one, right?
Sweetheart, you help plenty.
No, I don't.
You really do. No, you do. I guess more than you think, apparently. Which, now that that fact is brought up, maybe I shouldn't tell you how much you helped me.
I mean, I'd like to know.
Sybil, how would you describe me?
Well, you're a badass, first and foremost. Most important statements, you are, of course, a badass. And you're smart, and you like to get into big ol' fights because you like action. And you're really kind. And you care about people. You're not always the first to show it, but you care about people a lot. You have a big heart.
And that is how you help. You see that. You see the things past man who can punch really hard. You talk to me like I am a human being.
You are a human being. A perfectly shaped
Exactly.
human being, apparently.
According to you, I am a human being.
Well,
According
not
to
just
you,
me.
Sybil Cordova, more than anyone else I've ever known. other than my parents. You have deemed me a human being. That's how you help.
Well, for what it's worth, you're actually my favorite human being. And I know a lot of human beings.
Oh, that has... I'm gonna have to ask you to prove that.
I mean... She kisses him on the cheek, and then she removes herself from his arms. Well, I did bring something.
Did you?
She goes to her suitcase, pulls it open, pulls out a nice bottle of wine.
So, I know it's legal now that we're this far out on the Atlantic, so it's not quite as fun, but I did smuggle this out of New York, so...
Illegal activity is illegal activity. Fuck it, let's enjoy it.
Let's do it.
A bottle is open, the door is shut, and cut to black. Okay. And in addition, I think I'll add this as a nice narrative thumbtack before we go to break. Kind of capping off this 9-day Atlantic voyage culminates in a kind of like, found family group kind of recreational hangout organized by Mason Allen, to just have everyone seated together. I'll let you decide in your hearts the amount that Mason air quotes prepared. Truly that is up to the Mason Allen himself. But ultimately the thread, the core thread here is it is a group of friends spending time with each other as a group with nothing going on in the periphery for a period of time and just getting to enjoy being friends for just one fucking night and just hanging out and eating, drinking, and enjoying each other's company.
And we all make fun of Mason's, fucking... The thing where you throw things in the air, fuck!
The juggling?
The juggling!
Yeah, you notice that he comes in with a bruise. Like a little bruise on his cheekbone.
What did you do to yourself?
I don't want to talk about it.
I want to point out, if we play poker at all, ain't no one getting past me.
If you say so.
I mean, to be fair, last time James canonically played poker, the guy he was playing got shot that night, so... Anyway, we're gonna go to break now. As this voyage comes to a close, the ship's horn sounds off, alerting all the passengers aboard that land is in sight and England is just coming up. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
The Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Argument. How a ship, having passed the line, was driven by storms to the cold country towards the South Pole, and how from thence she made a course to the tropical latitude of the great Pacific Ocean, and of the strange things that befell, and in what manner the ancient mariner came back to his own country. Part 1. It is an ancient mariner, and he stoppeth one of three. By thy long grey beard and glittering eye, now wherefore stopp'st thou me? The bridegroom's doors are open wide, and I am next of kin. The guests are met, the feast is set, mayst hear the merry din. He holds him with his skinny hand. There was a ship, quoth he. Hold off, unhand me, grey-beard loon. Eftsoons his hand dropped he. He holds him with his glittering eye. The wedding guest stood still, and listens like a 3 years child. The mariner hath his will. The wedding guest sat on a stone. He cannot choose but hear. And thus spake on that ancient man, the bright-eyed mariner. The ship was cheered, the harbor cleared. Merrily did we drop below the kirk, below the hill, below the lighthouse top. The sun came up upon the left, out of the sea came he, and he shone bright, and on the right went down into the sea. Higher and higher every day, till over the mast at noon, the wedding guest here beat his breast, for he heard the loud bassoon. The bride hath paced into the hall, red as a rose is she. Nodding their heads, before her goes the merry minstrelsy. The wedding guest he beat his breast, yet he cannot choose but hear, and thus spake on that ancient man, the bright-eyed mariner. And now the storm blast came, and he was tyrannous and strong. He struck with his o'ertaking wings and chased us south along. With sloping masts and dipping prow, as who pursued with yell and blow, still treads the shadow of his foe, and forward bends his head. The ship drove fast, loud roared the blast, and southward, aye, we fled. And now there came both mist and snow, and it grew wondrous cold, and ice, mast high, came floating by, as green as emerald. And through the drifts, the snowy cliffs did send a dismal sheen, nor shapes of men nor beasts we ken, the ice was all between. The ice was here, the ice was there, the ice was all around. It cracked and growled and roared and howled like noises in his wound. At length did cross an albatross, through the fog it came. As if it had been a Christian soul, we hailed it in God's name. It ate the food it ne'er had eat, and round it flew. The ice did split with a thunder fit, the helmsman steered us through. And a good south wind sprung up behind, the albatross did follow, and every day for food or play came to the mariner's hollow. In mist a cloud, on mast a shroud, it perched for vespers 9, whiles all the night, through fog smoke white, glimmered the white moonshine. God save thee, ancient mariner, from the fiends that plague thee thus. Why look'st thou so? With my crossbow I shot the albatross.
And welcome back, everyone. So, you might be able to see now that we've changed our backgrounds once more. We're no longer at the high seas. We're no longer traveling. We are indeed in England. And I'm actually going to switch the music to something a bit more dramatic.
Oh.
That wasn't dramatic?
Well, like investigative music, for
Okay.
example. Just for the... Yes, exactly. For the vibes.
It wasn't investigative?
I would call that more like melancholy. Just kind of like the somber music. Either way, this is the good and proper, we're getting shit happening kind of music. And funny enough, I set this to shuffle and it's still as default played the one we do all the fucking time on the new playlist. This one's gonna carry through. This track is too iconic to not use frequently, but it's fine.
Sunil will just look up, kind of like, oh god, the music. It's that song.
At least it's familiar. Like I can only handle so much change. That's a lie.
On about.
Funny enough, you guys do actually arrive in Southampton on Valentine's Day on February 14th. So that's yeah, that is actually the timeline that's going on there. No, so after 9 days at sea, the Laurentide comes to harbor down in Southampton, and from there you will have to take a train to get to London proper. But first, the most riveting part of your adventure is about to come up, and that's British customs, baby.
Oh boy!
Oh goodness.
Let's very quickly establish. Can everyone remind me who has a gun in their inventory?
Raised his hand, sighed.
Everyone. Okay, cool. I'm going to have to ask everyone individually to roll luck checks.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's fucking go.
Okay.
No.
No.
I have like 2 guns on me.
Okay.
Shit.
So James O'Connell is locked away. No, I'm kidding. Gets indefinitely detained by the British. No. Going through customs, all of you who are, in your respect, packing, actually get everyone except for James gets pretty lucky in that British customs officers do not find your weapons in your luggage, which is certainly saying something for Kit because he has an entire suitcase dedicated to one gun. But it is just lucky enough that that it gets overlooked. However, James, unfortunately, while you are going through British customs, your 2 guns that you had in your belongings are found and confiscated by British customs. You are then brought off to the side to be questioned by British customs officers, while everyone else actually manages to make it through without their guns being discovered, which for you, James, amounts to the officials essentially not taking you into an interrogation room, but taking you into a small office near the port and just kind of looking over your travel papers and and just says, right then, your name's James O'Connell and you had looks through the official report. Why is Atwas freaking the fuck out? I need to know. Hold on.
O'Connell.
There's a bit of a civil war happening.
Cool. That's what's going on. Yes, there's a bit of a civil war. He has the fucking crispest American accent. It's not that big of a fucking deal for these guys.
He's from the Midwest.
He's from the Midwest.
Still, the last name and him saying it like that.
It quirks an eyebrow. Quirks an eyebrow for sure. He goes, O'Connell, and you're traveling from New York.
I am indeed.
Right. Would you be so kind as to explain what brings you to the UK?
Doing a bit of traveling with friends.
Traveling through the country or simply a stop on your way to other parts?
Bit of a stop.
Oh, where are you heading to after this?
Further along our final destination. We're not too sure where we're going to stop on the way, but our final destination is most likely going to be Australia.
Australia? Well, that's certainly a bit of a hop, skip, and a jump then. And what is it you're planning to do in Australia?
Sightsee.
I see. Kind of just goes over your papers, checks your visa. Now, you do not have a weapons import license to bring these into the country. Were you familiar that you had to acquire one of these before your departure, sir?
I was not, sir. I am from the United States.
Understandable. Let me think for a second really quickly. Well, I'll speak it to you plain, sir. Obtaining firearm certification as a foreigner is likely going to be a very time-consuming endeavor. Now, you're a tourist, so unless you have some sort of, resource or considerable letter of recommendation from, let's just say, law enforcement, if you can't obtain such things, we will have to confiscate your weaponry until you could properly get certification, which is a little on the rough side for a tourist to acquire.
Does military experience count?
You being an officer of the Great War is certainly something in standing. If you had a soldier of some repute, or maybe a potential officer who could write on your behalf to help you get a letter of certification, that's certainly one thing. Regardless, it is going to be a time-consuming effort. Now, James, unless you want to attempt a persuade roll against this officer, you are going to have your guns, your guns will be taken by British Customs until you, get one of those weapon certifications somehow.
Hold on.
Yeah, no worries.
Persuade, you say?
Yes.
I can't try to fast talk him.
No, this is very much a persuade.
Would I get a negative effect if I tried to persuade him?
The negative, the failure is just your guns are forfeited. They take them. That is the negative, but not like, well, fuck you for trying. It's like the failure is the current state of things as they are already.
I'll give it a go then.
Why not? See what happens. Yeah, okay.
Of course not.
Right.
I don't know if you know this, but I don't roll anything under a 90.
Well, the customs official signs various papers, hands you like your visa back and the other travel paperwork he had. Welcome to the UK. I hope you enjoy your stop. Again, your guns will remain here in Southampton as the customs office. Until you have a requisite weapon certification that can give you your property back. Understood?
Understood.
The official stands up, curtly reaches to shake your hand, and will escort you back to your group.
Shakes it, goes back.
Yeah. Rejoining the party, James now having been stripped of the two guns on his personal belonging.
Fucking. So this is how they fucking treat veterans, huh?
Well, is there a way for us to get them back?
I have to
Can I
reach
just-
out to some people.
Can't we just pay them off?
Sybil really pulls
Fucking
up
good
money.
idea. No, just pat, money down.
Well, James, we can get into a different area. I do still have Bosco's gun.
You do, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Bosco, that was his name?
His name was Bosco, yes.
Oh, well, he's fucking dead, so.
He is, in fact, dead.
He doesn't need it.
I'm not great with a handgun. You are. So, probably better in your hands.
I'll take it.
Oh wait, real quick,
Not
just
right now.
Sunil, remind me, what specifically guns does Sunil have? It's a shotgun, right?
Sunil has a shotgun and a handgun.
Okay, cool. The handgun was the tricky thing, because Sunil, as a native to the UK, you would know this little tidbit of information. Shotguns are not considered firearms in British law.
Huh?
Yeah.
What the fuck are they then?
Sunil's like, I can just hand this off to you whenever, really. It's just...
Yeah, you don't need a weapon certification to enter the country with a shotgun, because it's not considered a firearm in law. It's considered like a hunting, like it's a hunting game and all that.
Didn't James have 2 shotguns?
Were they 2 shotguns?
I had a shotgun.
He had
Oh,
a shotgun.
Okay, cool. And then then you one gun was taken by customs. They let you keep the shotgun.
Motherfucker! They took my war handgun!
Yes, they did.
Ooh, baby.
Yeah, no. Since then, I'll say that retconning that a little bit. Yes, just like the shotgun was a matter of like they explained to you, James, like you can bring a shotgun in. They are the least amount of red tape is just they can be brought into the country under the assumption of that you will be hunting game with the shotgun. So you still have your shotgun.
I'm so fucking mad they took my Colt 45.
Yes, Alice.
Does that only apply to shotguns, or does that apply to
Only-
rifles too?
Only applies to shotguns.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, rifles are still considered firearms. So Kit, you got off lucky. Well,
That explains why they didn't take Kit's gun despite it having its own case.
Just got lucky.
It could have been a shotgun.
Could have been a shotgun. They could
Could have been a shotgun.
Yeah. Well, regardless, from Southampton, what awaits you is a half a day's train ride to get to London from where you have disembarked. So after getting through customs, you guys just have like a good like half a day of just sitting on a train together, and just letting the world kind of pass you by. I will say during the train journey specifically, if you guys want to talk about your plans for now that we're in England, what do we want to do? Like, definitely the train ride, countryside passing you by is now certainly the time to do it.
Well, we want to get James's gun back.
We do want to get James's gun back. However, it is a good thing that he has a gun right now. So while I admit that it is not a personal thing that is affecting me, therefore I might be having a slightly different thought on it, there are other things we could also be doing while we are doing that.
I will say, actually, because you're saying this, could somebody just roll an idea roll for me? Just one of you decide to roll that. Yeah, go for it. Somebody roll an idea check.
Yeah. Okay.
Kit, I mean, based on what James explained to you, they explained that like if he had a letter of recommendation from like a law enforcement officer or a fellow soldier or something like that, you probably wouldn't apply because there's the red tape of you're in his like friend group, so that would be like weird. However, like the fucking Lieutenant Poole could probably provide a letter of recommendation, being a homicide detective who could that is a potential avenue for seeing if that could work for getting James's weapon certification, is by like sending like a telegram to Lieutenant Poole back in New York and asking him to do that.
Yeah,
that was gonna be his first fucking option.
Just immediately, Poole, please, I need to get my gun back.
I need to get my gun back. It's very important that I get my gun back.
God.
Come pick me up.
But yes. Continue discussing amongst yourselves what your plan is.
All right, so, God, I've gone into a different accent than the one I've been using this entire time.
It happens.
Let us go into the thing so I can remember people's names. Clues and handouts. So we need to deal with Penhew. That is a thing to deal with. That is in the
Penhew Foundation.
We also need to deal with James Barrington, an inspector at Scotland Yard, and Mickey Mahoney, the editor of The Scoop.
Oh.
The Scoop?
That rag.
That rag.
What's the Scoop?
So, what's the Scoop? No, The Scoop is... Did National Inquirer exist at this point? Because then I could just say that, but like...
I don't think they existed yet, but
I don't think it existed. Otherwise, like, I could explain this in a slightly different way, but I'd like to, if I could.
Founded in 1926. Sorry.
Yeah, it's so yeah, we're so close right now.
God.
It is just a sensationalist tabloid newspaper for
it's a sort of tabloid newspaper where they talk about all the crazy stuff going on with both celebrities and also monsters, which you think would be super interesting, but honestly, they don't really do it based off of anything at all. But anyway, my long story short, it's a gossip rag, but in a more weird sort of sensibility of the thing. Yes.
So
Jackson,
not
question.
Good.
It's entertaining.
Okay. Acceptable.
Jackson trusted him. I guess it's a lead.
He found all types.
Found all types. But those are the three things that I remember off the top of my head. There were also some things I found in the library that I thought would be easier to look up here than they would anywhere else. Off topic entirely, I'd like to speak to my mother and tell her that I'm going on a multi-country hop. I figured that'd be better to tell her in person than it would be over the phone.
Are we gonna visit your mom?
Maybe. Hopefully.
It's actually
be so mad if
segues perfectly into me asking you guys. So let's talk about accommodations, by the way. Let's establish, as with you guys arriving eventually in London, kind of where you guys want to stay. Obviously, Sunil, you can stay with your mom if you want.
We talked about this at some point because we were just followed in another country, even though we're probably not being followed at this exact point. And if shit goes down, it's probably not best for him to stay with her. He's going to talk with her and he's going to meet with her in the daytime, but he will not be staying with her.
Totally. All right.
She will argue about for like 2 seconds, but then get over it.
So Neil, you being the UK local, you know probably the most about like the width and breadth of like the kind of accommodations that are available to you guys. So I'll kind of like loosely break it down for you. Obviously, cheapest like rooms can be usually found in like slum hotels, like usually in very poor areas, very crime-ridden places. Those are like places where you can have a lot of anonymity as a guest of just existing there, but obviously, you know, you are rubbing shoulder to shoulder with all manners of criminals, ne'er-do-wells, and others. You know, there are also the ubiquitous bed and breakfast in the suburbs and countryside. You know, private residences. Spend a nice time at a B&B. Those are also pretty discreet. Of course, you're also contending with the landlady's rules and all manner of nosy questions. And then obviously there are hotels you can always get. Obviously, you know, there's the Ritz, the Savoy, the Brown, even the Waldorf. All of these are just kind of like central London-based hotels. They're all more glitzy and glamorous. And if you want like good rooms without the glamour, there's like the Cavendish, the Grosvenor Court, and Langham. You know, so you get this way like width and breadth of all these different kind of places that you would know as like being a person who spent a lot of time in London. Just kind of a rough idea of, I assume, and correct me if I'm wrong here, you guys still want to do the we're staying together all the time always, like as a hotel group.
Best move, just because like whenever like, you know, if we split up, it seems more dangerous to me in case we're being followed again or something like that.
It's one of those where you don't want a person to be cornered alone.
Yeah.
So even if we were to split up, we'd have to split up in groups, and that's kind of like, we'd still have to try to keep contact with each other. At this exact point, there's no reason to split up. So
yeah, there's several other hotels like from
we can
average...
always switch hotels later.
Exactly,
like we did in New York. So
like baseline, like are you guys looking to just get like a pretty like average, nice, good hotel, or get something a bit more glitzy? Like the like obviously the Elias Fund won't cover exorbitant costs that, you know, Carlton would kind of be like a little like furrow his brow over, just you know, but like yeah. So if you guys want to like get like it's up to you if you want to get like a normal hotel or kind of.
Sunil relays this information. He also basically begs the question of like, all right, how do you like? He begs the question of, do you think it's worth it to go somewhere high profile? Because in his brain, he's like, it makes more sense to go medium or to a bed and breakfast, honestly, like one or the other. Like you'd have the nosy landlady, but that's kind of like, do you want to deal with that? Or would you rather go somewhere that's kind of like, those are his two top things, like a medium hotel or a bed and breakfast, because he doesn't want to go anywhere in the slums. He'll get killed, but he doesn't want to
go. Split, you have your hand raised?
Bed and breakfast sounds nice.
But the landlady...
You're married, you'll be fine.
You can deal with it.
You know, it would be a nice time to go to the country.
Yeah.
Fine.
So
you know, and then I can just yeah.
So you're deciding to stay a little bit out of the city proper and kind of into like the surrounding nearby countryside, or even like the suburbs of the city itself, depending on which one you want to go to. Just find like a nice bed and breakfast. Let's see. Well, actually, there is one little hitch with the bed and breakfast. They usually are like one or more rooms. So like I'd say that like probably the maximum of like a reasonable like B&B would be like 3 bedrooms. And like, you know, you got like curfew and like this would entail like having a curfew, not being allowed to have guests, stuff like that.
Do you guys want to deal with the restriction of the curfew? We tend to deal at night.
Yeah, no, I no.
Curfew is not exactly an option.
Yeah.
You need to go to the hotel.
So
Yeah.
a nice but not glitzy hotel, like a good, decent hotel. The fund will happily cover those expenses. Excellent. Great. And if there's anything else you guys wanted to discuss on the train ride, do so now before you guys arrive.
Cool. I think that's all the business attended to. I would like to show you around a little bit if we ever get the time, but for the most part, this is a business trip. So just keeping that in mind.
I mean, I'd still love to be shown around London.
I don't
one
think I've
more.
been here. Go on.
Just another agent of business, but we could drop in on Professor Gainsborough.
Oh, we could.
Professor Gaines.
Oh, he went with us. He went with us to Peru, but he was scarred for life. Unlike us,
Question.
who were also scarred for life.
Question. This is what is his first name?
Taryn?
Taryn?
Did he say anything about archaeology?
Yes, archaeology, anthropology, that sort of thing.
And he went to Peru around a few years ago.
21, yeah.
That's where he went?
Do you know him?
Oh,
He was a professor at Cambridge.
wow.
Oh shit!
I had his class for like 2 weeks and then I just dropped. It wasn't his fault. It's just, and then he disappeared and we were like, oh, well, that's weird. And we made up stories about why he disappeared. I guess he went to Peru and dealt with vampires? Cool.
Not a theory, but sure, yeah.
Vampires.
Old.
Huh. Well, I guess we could check up on Mr. Gainsborough.
We could.
Professor Gainsborough. What do you even call him?
I'm sure
I called him
he would
parent.
be thrilled to see the three of us. Just thrilled.
Oh, I can't wait to tell him about the horrifying monstrosity in the pit. I'm sure he'll love it.
He will definitely not love it.
Oh, God.
My question to you guys is your intention here to, at some point, go up to Cambridge to go meet him yourself, or do you want to contact him, like, with a telegram or a phone call, or just for my future reference of dealing with the situation?
Probably warn him first before we just show up on his doorstep.
It's like, hey, remember Peru? Yeah.
Never speak to me again.
So Jackson's dead.
How
God.
early into your trip do you want to contact Professor Gainsborough?
I would say that it would make sense to like let him know that we're in town early on. You know, send a wire, be like, hey, you know, we're in town. We'd love to meet up. Like,
I'm new in town.
lunch or some shit.
So is that the kind of
But
message
yeah.
you would send day one of being here?
Unless anyone is opposed, just sort of a
seems
hey, would
reasonable.
love to meet you and catch up sort of thing. Yeah.
Excellent. Hell yeah, dude. All right, cool. Is that all the business on the docket?
Can anyone think of anything?
I mean, no, I mean, mostly we only have a few leads, and mostly for now, I just want to, get to a solid room that isn't traveling, and also, meet your mom again.
Well.
It's been a while since we've seen her.
Well,
It'd be nice to see Manisha.
excellent. Okay, it sounds like you guys got like a nice list of things going on. So after a day of traveling by rail from Southampton, your train arrives in the city of London. Pulling up and looking around, just seeing this sprawling old like hub of civilization seated on both sides of the Thames. just a mixture of like newer buildings and a lot of older, heavily like renovated and maintained buildings from just countless generations, and a city that is just laden thick with fog, numerous plumes of smoke lining the sky, kind of hazing the surroundings, both from the various chimneys of buildings and homesteads to the coal stacks of the industrial industries in neighborhoods like Limehouse and other manufacturing districts. But as you guys arrive in the city, disembark, we'll say that you guys, this is probably like later in the day of the same day you ride on the 14th. So you get like a cabbie, or you find your accommodations in a pretty decent hotel. It's good. It's not by any stretch bad. It's a good hotel. Get yourselves acquainted with rooms. Get yourselves set up in there. And I assume after just a day of travel, just hitting the hay now, and tomorrow you will embark and do things.
So Neil immediately calls his mom and tells her that she's in town, and tells her that he's in town. But like, yeah, anything aside from that?
Enlighten us as to what Manisha says in response to knowing this.
Why did you not call me sooner? Why did you not? You just decide to come. I am very happy to see you. I want to hear more audio with your friends. Oh, congratulations. Please give me a heads up next time. Thank you very much. I love you. Bye.
I love that. I love that.
I love her so much.
We love Manisha Pandey.
We stand Manisha Pandey in this household.
Manisha Pandey in this household. Oh yeah, and you guys are like in a time zone that is not your own. So that is, you guys are currently 5 hours ahead of. Actually, I think jet lag's only a thing from, isn't it in like east to west is jet lag?
No, it's any which way, provided it's enough of a it's enough of a gap. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you guys definitely have jet lag, so it is a relief to get.
Can I argue?
Yes.
Can I argue that since Sunil and Kit were only gone for like 2 weeks, that they'd be generally okay?
And I mean, you're mostly operating at night.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh no, our poor friends have terrible jet lag.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Completely fair. Well then, yeah, you guys get a lot of sleep that first day back. Yeah, which is like, I'll just for the sake of the narrative, I will say that like the Laurentide pulled into harbor at like morning, like early morning on the 14th, which for you guys felt like extremely late night. Like, so you guys really have not slept today from just because it was just getting off rail travel. It was just a day of you all feel thoroughly exhausted. So it is a relief when you get to your hotels, find your beds all comfortable, get like a nice warm meal in you, and take the first night here in London to really just kind of absorb and reset yourselves for the days to come. So the morning of the 15th is when things really are just kind of, you guys are obviously probably still feeling a little tired, a little lagged. Well, yeah, what do you want to do? What is and if you guys want to like split up and do things, it's also obviously a thing you guys have done before. Just what ground do you want to cover out the gate?
Sunil, yeah.
Okay, so question. First off, given that newspaper stands exist,
yes,
how hard would it be to get a copy of the current scoop right now?
Oh, not hard at all. It wouldn't be hard at all.
KK. Probably not going to be super helpful, but like,
yeah,
he'd still want to grab one.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, like it's I mean, like it is a widely published broadsheet. I mean, like it is like, I don't have like specific headlines to give you, but I can give you like the gist of kind of what to expect here, which is the same affair that it always publishes. It is very much a tabloid broadsheet. Very much specializes in stories about like, gory murders, sex scandals, weird happenings, and it's the same deal all the way. Actually, the scoop does have a section in its publications for like photographs of like cute models just wearing their underwear with like captions like her Cornish holiday, you know, just like stuff like, yeah, just like, yeah.
See.
Yes, Atlas.
How's its crossword?
When were crosswords invented?
Sybil looking over Sunil's shoulder. Oh, she's cute.
Damn, they were invented.
1913.
They were literally invented during like on the eve of World War One. Damn.
How's the Scoop's crossword? Asking for a friend. The friend is me.
The Scoop does not have a crossword. It is just chock full of sensationalized spice and
It's like
filth.
garbage publication.
It's such a like it's like honest reporting on events, but it reports on like gory murders, sex scandals, weird shit. Yeah. So it's not quite like the Queen's baby's an alien, you know? It's not like yes, what's up, Split?
What is the point of a newspaper if it doesn't have a crossword and or word search?
Well, they had to get rid of the crosswords to make room for all like the scandally dressed underwear models.
Very important.
Fair. Fair.
She's the
Fair.
crossword.
I
She used to
can
connect the
support
dots. You connect.
No,
Jeez.
I'm certainly connecting the dots.
Right. I'm
I
gonna go out and send some telegrams. I'll see you in a bit.
Thank you. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah,
We'll just
shoot
be
one
here
of
connecting
them.
dots.
Yeah, have fun with that. I'll wire pool for you.
cool.
Thank you very much.
Jill
Thank you.
Wirepool. I assume you're also handling the contact of you're sending a message to Professor Gainsborough, just being like, we're in town.
and Kit is trying his best to not be an asshole, so he'll also wire his mom and Aaron, be like, you know, made it here fine.
Mhm.
And he'll send one to his dad, just sort of like a made it here fine, just letting you know type thing.
God.
Good to know.
All
Excellent.
right. All right. So now you know what goes on in this. So if you want to deal with that at some point, it might be the least egregious thing because it might be a little hard to get. Would it be hard to deal with Scotland Yard at this exact point? Oh God. Jesus. Because he's also like
Mhm.
Sunil's basically gone into this point where he's just like probably getting to talk with newspaper people would be easier than talking to a person in Scotland Yard. However, they also need to figure out what's going on at the Penhute Foundation, and his mom knows he's here and would like to probably see him today at some point. So he's kind of just like trying to figure out what would take the most amount of time.
If you want to go see your mom, we can catch up with you. It's okay.
I feel like I should be with you if you're going to any of these other places. She might not like it, but she can wait.
Okay, well, we'll hit some things today and then we'll just go to your mom's house for dinner. We've invited ourselves.
She'll accept it probably.
I mean, you can
What?
ask. I'm still coming.
Alright. Sunil,
Yes.
what would be best?
All right. I'm very interested in figuring out what's going on with this entire newspaper thing. I'll be honest with you; it just seems so out of left field, but also not at the same time. So yes, I want to speak to this person if we can figure out where they are.
Quite literally, when you say speak to this person, I imagine he holds up the scoop and points to the name Mickey Mahoney on like
Exactly.
the author list. Like,
Exactly. I want to speak to Mickey. So I want to speak to this person. Is there any sort of information written on the paper at all about how to get into contact with them? Did Mason get that contact information at all?
Yeah, I mean, like Kensington, Jonah provided like the name and like the officing address of the scoop, and it's on the broadsheet anyway. It's the scoop's offices are down on like Fleet Street, not far from Ludgate
Right.
Circus.
No, say not that far
Yeah.
at all. Then. So yeah, we can. Should we call first? Do you think they'd want to, or should we ambush them? Ha,
I love ambushing.
James.
I'm very good at ambushing.
Kit's not here, so he can't be a voice of reason. Mason.
Fuck it, let's ambush him. Why not?
Ambush him.
Oh goodness me. I guess this is how we're doing this. They might enjoy company. We have interesting stories. Let's go. Let's go.
Sure.
So great. While Kit is away, your group will make it.
Oh, wait a minute. We should wait for Kit to get back.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably just leave a note for him if you don't.
Okay,
Yeah.
we will leave a note for Kit that we're going.
Okay.
I mean, we could always split up. We
I mean,
don't all
actually-
have to go to the same place.
Up to you guys. And actually, I will say, by the way, I mean, like, all you said Kit was doing was sending telegrams.
Yeah.
So he's
Yeah,
not like.
it probably-
Yeah, that's like he's not even that far away. But yeah, no, Kristen does raise a
I'm
good
like,
point.
Walking in as you
I'm
guys
like-
walk out and be like, what?
I'm like, so here's the thing. I'm like, we could split up, but I'm like, but Sybil really wants to know what's up with this scoop. She has to know. Sybil's like, we can split up with no intent to split up whatsoever.
Yeah, Kit's probably just arriving as you guys are leaving and you catch each other in the lobby.
We are going to talk to Mr. Mahoney at the Scoop. Then, if we have time, we might call Scotland Yard, or we might just... I feel safer calling Scotland Yard, I'll be honest.
Fuck the police.
Understandable. Simple.
While you are correct in your summation, we should still call them because they will fuck us. Anyway,
You're right.
Oh god.
Don't fuck with the police. Unless you have to.
Fine.
In which case, you
Also,
better have your way out.
yes, Kit?
If you all don't mind, I know I'm an American, but just Dr. Kid is good enough around here.
Understood, yes. Dr. Kit. And James, you're James. And I'm Sunil. Do not call me Mr. Panday.
I'm Mason.
Oh my god, we all just don't have last names while we're in London! Amazing!
Don't. You know what? We just don't. We refer to each other as each other.
That's not true. I want to be Sybil Cordova. Listen, I'm rich.
Sybil, you're across the seas. Your money, your name doesn't.
Yeah, true.
I don't know. Sybil's been all over the place.
With James.
She went places before she got with James.
So, with that in mind, you're going to the offices of the Scoop.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Which you do. You find yourself to a shabby building on Fleet Street when the easy to locate the third floor offices of the Scoop, where you are finding it very easily amidst like kind of the offices of the journalists and publishers here. Very quickly are able to secure a meeting with Mickey Mahoney, who is this overweight, red-haired man, wicked smile, surrounded by a cloud of cigar smoke, holding, like a cut cigar in one hand, and is just very Irish.
We're
And
fine.
introduces himself as Mickey Mahoney with the papers. Nice to make your acquaintance. Have a seat, why don't you, the lot of you?
Will do.
Sure.
Is there actually enough chairs this time?
God, no.
There's never
So,
enough chairs.
Kit and James stand.
Kit and James stand.
Sybil
There are
sits.
3 chairs, so yes. Like, there are 3 chairs.
Kit and James stand.
Yeah.
Mason, sit down.
So,
Okay, I'm sitting down.
what brings you to my desk today? What can Mickey Mahoney do for you?
So, Mason, what were you told by Kensington?
Runs to the one note.
I can read the one note myself, young man.
Yeah, I was just told that Jackson had a contact. Like it was just like someone that he knew when he was over.
Cool. So Sunil's just gonna be blunt about that. Yes, we were referred here by one Jackson Elias.
Jackson Elias! Of course I remember Elias. Jesus, I read about his death in the papers. Terrible business. You're friends of his, then?
The friends of his, yes, we were there. We were around.
My deepest condolences to you. That's a That's a real fucking tragedy.
Yeah.
Well,
Raise this flask.
well, certainly I am happy to meet with friends of the late and great Jackson Elias himself. What particularly about Mr. Elias brings you to the offices of the Scoop today?
Well, it seemed as though what got him, so to speak, was that he was looking for something, as he tends to do.
That is right. Aye. When he was last here in London, about by now a couple of months ago at most, he got in contact with me, promised me one hell of a story about some sort of sensational evil cult operating in the heart of the city. Gave me the kind of ideas that this was the sort of cult that was very well connected in society, but didn't actually give me any kind of proof. Needless to say, I was certainly very intrigued. I never got the story, but kind of wish I had. Offered to pay him 15 English pounds for that piece. Yeah.
So you mean a cult here in London?
Well, that's what he said, yeah. Which, by the way, if you're Elijah's friends here inquiring on his behalf, if you, by any chance happen to find yourself, completing that story, I'd be happy to buy it off your hands as well, for sure. For the exact same price.
Did he
I'll
give
take
you a
that deal.
name?
He never mentioned a name to the cult, nor did he talk about his evolving suspicions. But he was keen to browse through some old backlogs of the Scoop. Picked out some stories that caught his eye. You want to have a look around, you're welcome to do so, but I recall that there was only 3 stories in particular that he was interested in.
I would definitely like to look into those, yes.
Sure. We have to let you do so.
All right. There's another question. Yes, I don't remember what it was immediately. I called here somewhere in London, and that's all the information you know, is that he said that there was...
He just said he had a friend in London, you know?
That's all that Jackson gave me when we've conversed. Was he promised me the story of a lifetime in this regard, but kept the details really close to his chest. I don't know if he ended up following up on any of the stories he took an interest in from the backlogs. He seemed rushed and desperate, and soon left for New York.
All right. If we may, check the articles.
Sure. You have good look around for them. They're all unsigned. There was no named author from the stories. I may have rewritten them from wire or copy to give them a little extra whoosh, you know? Either way, I don't remember the contents of the stories, but I'd be happy to give you the headlines, and you can look for them there if that tickles your fancy.
Tickles my fancy very well.
Well, that's right. He begins to flip through his notebook really quickly. Now let's see if I can remember off the top of my head what the headlines were. Yeah, all right. So I lose the accent every so often. I'm working in. So that's yep. One was called "Shocking Canvases Craze." Another was "Police Baffled by Monstrous Murders," and the third one was "Slaughter Continues." Those were the 3 I remember. And if you're welcome to look through the backlogs, you can stay here as long as it takes to find them before closing. That is.
Understood. So, more murder. By the way, you heard it was murder, correct? Yes.
I did. I keep myself in tune with the press wires, and I heard about his murder. But I recently heard that his captors had been, his assailants had been dealt with. So at least some small degree of justice was done in the end.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sunil, with all the respect he can muster, is about to do the thing that he does where he goes to look for things. So
Yeah. Let's do some digging.
Hell yeah. This will require a library use check to see if you can expedite the process of finding them.
Cool.
Actually, is there an intern around here anywhere? It's not really like they're just kind of getting coffee or something.
The Scoop is not the kind of place that has an intern. Only like the journalists that work there.
But is there anyone who looks even like they might be distracted for even a moment?
Probably.
Sybil is immediately gonna be like, hey, I'm looking for I'm looking for some articles, and I was wondering if you could help me. It's just there's a lot of articles here, and it's a lot for little old me.
Oh,
so if you could help. I mean, I'm just like, there's 3 things to find, so I'm like, just to help the search. Sorry, I was just like, wait.
No, you're good.
I love that. Actually, I'll address that in a second. Real quick, go ahead and roll, Sunil, since you already committed to that.
I'm spending that fucking luck point.
One fucking luck point. Cool. You know what, Sybil? I'll say just by nature of all this, kind of the sleaziness is that this guy will kind of help. Which, by the way, I think it comes up in conversation at one point. Like Mickey's just like, by the way, if you're ever looking for just some extra cash, I'd be happy to take any stories off your hands to publish in the Scoop. We take all sorts, odd, saucy, even gruesome, and gestures at Sybil. I mean, you can probably hear this. And if it's ever something that catches your fancy, miss, we do take very tasteful photographs of young ladies such as yourselves and sell them in the papers.
That's enough of that.
He just coughs into his handkerchief.
Thankfully, there will be no need for anything like
offer.
that.
Well, it's not a nude, it's all underwear, but I understand. All right, fine. Incredible.
Do you accept male models?
Mickey Mahoney kind of looks at you, puts his cigar in his mouth, puffs from it, looks you up and down. We've had people who are certainly less cute than yourself, so probably.
Kit coughs more into his handkerchief. I need some there. I'll be right back.
We can talk more about it.
Sure. If you're ever wanting to pose for the cameras, we'd be happy to arrange something. It's all tasteful. It's all tasteful. So meanwhile...
Meanwhile, Sunil, who is lost in the sauce and is missing this prime conversation.
Exactly. Sunil, it actually takes you about an hour to dig up the 3 articles in question. Which did somebody say new clues?
Oh,
new handouts?
Oh my gosh.
We got handouts.
I'm gonna throw us to the clue window, our brand new shiny England clue window, and we're gonna go over some clues. I will first drop these in the server where my players can see them very quickly, and I will put them up for everyone to see on the stream in just a moment. You guys are welcome to take turns reading these out loud. They're like newspaper clippings, so they're not huge documents. Give me 1 second. All right, there's the handouts, the England handouts, and I will take these 3 in particular and put these in the clues and handouts window. All right, so you find these 3, and if you want to just read, you can read them in whatever order you want, and I will put them up.
Time to read. All right, let's just go in the order that you put it in the thing, because I don't feel like guessing otherwise.
1 second. Let me just... okay. Yep. Let me just double check. So that the very first one, the Slaughter Continues one?
Yep.
Alrighty. Throwing it up. Go ahead. Take it away.
All right. Slaughter continues. Reward offered. An unidentified foreigner was found floating in the Thames last Tuesday, the 24th. Another victim in the so-called Egyptian murders? ? Inspector James Barrington of the Yard refused to comment when asked by the Scoop. Oh, we can use that. Sources exclusive to this journal state that the victim had been beaten severely and then stabbed through the heart in a manner curiously similar to the other murders that have taken place over the last 3 years. The connection seems obvious, but New Scotland Yard has yet to confirm that the deaths are connected. Inspector Barrington and his colleagues appear baffled and no closer to catching the heinous perpetrator of these crimes. Londoners cry out, "When will our streets be safe?" Readers of the Scoop are reminded that the esteemed journal has a reward now standing at, 24 pounds, for information leading to the apprehension and conviction of the murderer. Be vigilant. All right, so more African death cults, but there is now no Harlem. Okay.
I'll take number 2 then.
Go for it.
Shocking canvases craze local artists, monstrous scenes mock, quote, surrealists. Now collectors can buy savage scenes which rival us past the worst nightmares of the Great War, but which are far more exotic than that grim business. Ugh. London artist Mr. Miles Shipley's work is being sought out by collectors who have paid up to £300 for individual paintings. This correspondent has seen a number of the works of artist Miles Shipley and finds them repulsive beyond belief. Maidens ravished, monsters are ripping out a man's innards, shadowy, grotesque landscapes and faces grimacing in horror represent only a fraction of Shipley's nightmarish work. Despite their repellent content, these works are conceived and executed with uncanny verisimilitude. Mr. Shipley's imagination is sublime, and it is almost as though the artist had worked from photographs of alien places surely never of this earth. The artist reportedly is in contact with, quote, other dimensions in which powerful beings exist, and says he merely renders visible his visions. Mr. Shipley is a working-class man without formal artistic training, who has nonetheless made good where thousands have failed. Art critics say that Shipley provides an English answer to the continental artistic movement of surrealism, whose controversial practitioners have still to convince John Bull that the way in which a thing is painted is more important than what is painted. A tip of the hat to Mr. Shipley for exposing those frauds.
Oh God, that is a thing to put in the back of our minds.
I want to see his art.
Maybe later. I'm going to take this last one as well, if you all do not mind.
Sure, go for it.
All right. Police baffled by monstrous murders. Killer beast shot but still alive. Derwent Valley residents, shocked last month by 2 murders and a serious assault on a 3rd victim, are still without a satisfactory explanation or perpetrator of the dreadful acts. At that time, Lesser Dale farmer George Osgood and resident Lydia Perkins were torn to shreds in apparently unrelated murders on consecutive nights. On the 3rd night, Wheelwright Harold Short was nearly killed but managed to drive off his attacker, which he described as a grisly creature. According to the Lesser Dale Constabulary, a rabid dog was shot and killed on the night of Mr. Short's attack. The police believed the matter to be closed. Nevertheless, local residents have subsequently claimed to have seen and heard a strange beast lurking about the area. Reportedly, the good folk of the Lesser Dale still endure sleepless nights due to the bizarre wailings of the beast on nights of the full moon. Readers of the Scoop are reminded of their esteemed journal's long-standing danger protocols and are advised that the picturesque cloughs of the Derbyshire Peak District have been declared to be a zone of high danger. Residents of Midlands are advised to remain indoors at night and to report all mysterious happenings to the police and to the Scoop.
I will make one quick sidebar just because Sunil is British. Bro, you are not. In Britain, they pronounce it Derbyshire. Derbyshire. So it's not
I was about to say,
it's not Derbyshire, it's Derbyshire.
I was reading real fast, my dude, and I forgot that was...
You're totally good. Yeah, so the word Derby is actually pronounced Derby in England. So it's
Derbyshire.
It's Derbyshire.
Derbyshire.
Or Derbyshire, depending on who, like, it depends on your accent, yeah.
Derbyshire.
Yeah.
Let's go with that. For now on, it's Derbyshire.
Well, there you go. And actually, as you're going over these, Mickey Mahoney is actually cutting in with like his notes, just kind of like some like handwritten notes he took at the time about each of these articles regarding. Let me find my notes. Yeah, regarding that that first one about the murders. he kind of like looks through his notebook and says, I remember that Elias believed that particular spate of murders were connected. And I believe it was after he read that he went to go speak with Inspector Barrington at New Scotland Yard. Regarding the painter, the canvases, Mahoney says, that story was prompted by a small, unsuccessful little show given by an artist named Miles Shipley. I have his home address if you want to take it down.
Please.
Yeah, I have it on file. It's 6 Holbein Mews, Chelsea, London, SW1W.
Thank you.
And then lastly, for that last article, Mahoney's notes confer, I actually took that one out of a story that arose in an article in the Derbyshire Regional Press. Picked it up, rewrote it for the scoop. Notes on that one are a little scant. As it said on the tin, murders took place in Lesser Edale. It's a village over in rural Derbyshire. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Very
Of
much.
course. Happy to help friend Jackson, and especially people who seem as intriguing as your lot certainly think that we have much business to do together in the future.
You know what? We might.
Again, you have any good stories, I'm always happy to buy them off you for the scoop.
We'll think about it.
Let me just double check my notes here. Yep, okay, cool. I mean, yeah, unless you guys have anything else you want to talk to Mickey Mahoney about or do with the scoop, like, he's happy to take your get your names, shake hands, and offer you a cigar, and then you can leave at your own leisure.
I mean, I think we're good, unless anyone else.
I'm pretty sure Sunil does give him a contact to the hotel. I like making sure people are able to talk to us whenever, so.
Oh, it's the right move.
All right.
Hell yeah. Awesome. Cool. Well then, with nothing else said and done, you guys leave the scoop behind and move forward to your next step of following whatever trail you want to follow here in London. And I think we'll call it there for now. So thank you everybody so much for watching this week's episode of Call of Cthulhu Masks of Nyarlathotep. We will be back again next week, probably, same time, same place, to continue this ongoing investigation. Until then, Cthulhu Fatagan.
The Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Argument.